Hello all, welcome to Clark Technologies, and we are very happy to announce that we are going to provide a free course for MuleSoft for all the freshers and beginners and who want to learn MuleSoft from scratch. This is entirely free course which we are going to release on day by day basis. So it will be a 30 days course. So it is very helpful for you to learn MuleSoft from scratch. And we have explained this course with the real-time project. We have built a real-time project also. In order to explain that, we have created a couple of files and project code as well. So if you want to get those files and projects, please email us with this subject line, request to share level 1 course file. Also, we have an important announcement that we are planning to release a MuleSoft advanced level 2 course very soon. So in this course we will be discussing most of the topics of MuleSoft, which will help you very well in order to complete level 2 certification as well as to work on complex real-time projects as well. So I hope you will be enjoying that course as well. So if you want to know more details about advanced level course, please contact us via mobile or email. We will be sharing those details. So without further delay, let's get started. Yeah, hi. So in till previous videos, we have seen first successful and choice router, right? So before we will see that other routers, we need to know a couple of scopes like Foreach scope, parallel Foreach. In this video, we will cover that. Later on, we will continue on the routers part. Okay. So to do that, just going to create a new configuration file in the same project. I can say like scopes demo.xml. So here, let's discuss about couple of important scopes which we are going to use in our real-time projects. Okay. So this is a very regular requirement you will see in your real-time projects because you will have a collection of payload like this. In some cases, the array of objects, we have already seen the structure of array of objects in our basics video, right? So this one is called one object, this is called another object. So you have like multiple objects in one array. You will say this array of objects. So sometimes your requirement would be you need to go through all the objects one by one, and you need to do some transformations, or you need to insert that data into some database, or you need to do some more activity on that particular object of data, like that. So to demonstrate this, I have just to take a sample JSON with array of objects. To split that, I mean, if you have a very limited array of objects, like say for example 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, you have only 7 rows or 7 objects, then you can go with Foreach scope. Foreach scope is there in MuleSoft, which will use, I mean, which will split the collection. Okay, collection means that this payload which will split the collection, it will process each and every record one by one sequentially. You should remember this. Okay, so you can use this for each scope, and inside that for each you can mention this collection, and inside that for each scope, if you have written any code or any components, that will execute one by one of each and every object in the incoming payload. This will be useful if you have any limited number of records, maybe 50 or 100, if or maybe sometimes a 50 or 100, sometimes 200 records or something like this. But if you have more than 10,000 or in thousands or in million records, for each scope will not handle. I mean, it is not that much capable to handle that much large number of records. In that case, in large payloads, if you want to handle large payloads, you need to go with batch scope. We will see the batch scope later. Let's first understand the for each scope, how it will split the payload and how it will process each and every record one by one. So if you have a requirement, like if you need to go through all the objects of the collection, this is called collection also, or array of objects, or a number of array of object payload. Okay, right? So we need to go through each and every object. Let's go through each and every object. Let's print the color by appending some other thing in our console. Let's say this is the requirement. I will tell you what I am trying to say. Okay, here I'll just rename this flow name with for each flow. I just drag and drop this one, right? Let me just remove this. Let's build this flow one by one. Let's add the listener. You can take the same listener because this is in the same project. So for path, you can say for each. Okay, and this time let's use this HTTP listener for post method. So to do that, you need to go to HTTP listener and go to advanced and click here and write a post here. Okay, so yeah, why? Because I would like to send this payload from the postman while triggering this. While triggering this flow. Okay, it is running something outside. Let me just stop this application as of now. All right. So from your input, from your payload, you will get the complete payload. Let's print that payload in the logger. You can say input payload and colon payload. This is a kind of string. You can just put it in double quotes. This text. Okay, so now we are printing the payload here once we receive the data from the post method from the postman. Then you need to split this and you need to go through this one by one. Right. So to do that, we have to use Foreach scope. Let's drag and drop the Foreach after the logger. And in this Foreach scope, you need to configure something which is called collection. So which collection you want to split and you want to process one by one. So in our case, this is the collection. Where this collection is stored, in our case, we are sending it through postman, right? So it will be stored in the payload itself. So you can write payload here. So it will split all the payload coming to this Foreach scope one by one. It will, it will execute. Okay, and here you have to you can see this counter variable name. You can change this variable name. What is the use of this counter means how many times it is split that it will show you how many times the for each loop is executed. That is called counter. Like first time it is 1, second time it will be say 2, like that. You can print this variable also, counter variable name. So how many times it is printed, something like that. So batch size means it is by default it is 1. You can say it is 10 or 100. So what is batch size means? Say for example, we have only 7 records here. Let's say for example you have 100 records. It should process one. Usually if we didn't mention anything here in the batch size, by default it is 1. So it will process one by one record, and it will do process for that particular record. If say for example, if you have database insert operation here, it will insert one record. It will have multiple database calls. So to improve the performance, what you can do, you can just give the batch size like 10 or 100. So it will process all the 10 records or 100 records at a time instead of doing one by one. So that is what batch size usage of for this Foreach scope. It will improve the performance. Right. So this is the counter variable. Like it will show you how many times this for each loop is executed. We can see this counter variable in our debug mode variables also. Anyways, we are going to run this in debug mode now, so we can see that. And in the for each loop, let's add the logger as of now. So in the logger, let's print for each logger, and inside that, so from the payload you will receive color, right? So let's say payload dot color. It will display what color you have received or which record it is processing. Okay, let's say payload dot color. This color would be this this color means this field name, COLOR. Okay, so it will each and every time if it execute the for each scope, it should display this logger message with the dynamic color name. It will get it from this particular collection. Okay, let's see this. After for each also, let me add one logger. after Foreach. Okay, let me just save this. Let's put a debug point here this time in the logger, and then let's run this into debug mode. Debug as Mule application. Let's see. So it is deployed. Let's see how to test this. Okay, so what is the path? It is for each, right? So let me just this time you need to send this payload also now, right? Go to your postman, and this is your post method, so select this post method, and here the path is for each, and in the body you need to send that collection. So, and let's try to click send. Why it is throwing error? It seems JSON payload. Okay. Okay, in JSON payload we need to give quotations for keys also, right? So let me do one thing. Instead of doing it manually, and then value, right? Okay, I'm just adding quotations. Okay. Okay, let's try to test this once. See the debug come here. This time, once you click next, it will show you the, the logger is printed and the payload is also printed. Okay, you can see the actual payload here. This is the one we have done. Okay, so now it is entering into the for each scope. So let's click enter. See it will went inside that. So this time see the variables. The counter is 1 because this is the first time it is entering. First time it is executing the for each scope. So the counter is 1, right? And the payload, if you can see, it is taking only first object, which is nothing but color red. See this first object it took. So once it processed, then it will take another object. Likewise, sequentially it will take one by one in the same order. Let's see. Now we click the next, right? Again it is executing another time. So this time, if you can see, the counter is 2. And if you can see the payload, it is color green, which means second object. And if you can see the console, it will print the logger like. So color is red for the first time. Okay, now it is executing for the second time. Now once you click next, go to console, see it is printed the color is green because it processes the second record. That is why the counter is also 2. So once you click next, it will process for the third time. So yeah, third time also it will processed. Now see the variables. The counter is, sorry, I clicked 2 times, so that's why it is showing counter is 4. This time it is taking CA on, can, this one. Don't worry, it didn't skip the blue. I clicked 2 times now, so that is why. Let's see it in console. It will show you. See in the console it printed the blue. So third is already executed. Now it is executing the fourth one. Once you click next, it will take the fifth one, magenta, and it will, once you click next, yellow. Once you click next, black. So what is the last color? Yeah, black is the last color. So it is in the end of last one. So once you click next, it will come out of the Foreach scope because it has processed all the 7 records one by one in the same order. You need to remember this same order. Now the variable gone. Outside the Foreach scope, the variable is gone. And now what is the payload here? After the Foreach, what is the payload here? The actual payload you will get. Okay, this will be also one of your interview question. So what is the counter variable? It is a number of times how the Foreach scope is executed. That is the counter variable. We can change that counter variable name, and you can print that variable also. And another kind of interview question is like, what is the payload available after the Foreach scope? See, before the Foreach scope also, the same payload, input payload is available. After the Foreach scope also, same payload is available. Inside this Foreach scope itself, it will process the records one by one sequentially in the same order. So what is the order of the execution? This is also one of your interview question. You can say if we can use the Foreach scope, it will execute the flows. Sorry, it will execute the block of code which is available in this Foreach scope sequentially, and it will process all the collection of records one by one in the same order. See, red, green, blue, all this in the same order. Let me print this logger also. See, if you can see, we have put only logger. Now, all the 7 loggers for all the 7 colors, it has printed in the same order. See, red, green, blue, cyan, magenta, yellow, black. Okay, this is very important for each. Now let's see parallel for each. You have another scope in MuleSoft which is called parallel for each. What it will do, it will also work on the collection of payload. It will also execute all the collection one by one, but it will execute them in parallel way. It will not execute in sequential manner. Like, it will not follow the order. It will execute green first, then it will execute can, then it will execute red, like that. The order it will not maintain. It will do the parallel execution. That is why it is called parallel for each. Okay, so let's build the same flow. Okay, but we can use the parallel for each this time. So these two are very important scopes in your project. So what is the use of for each and parallel for each? You will also get these kind of questions in your interviews also. So parallel for each is mainly used to execute the collection of records in a parallel manner. So what is the advantage of this? Means if you don't want to maintain any order, like if your requirement is it will not bother about the order of the records processing, but it should process the records very fastly. In that case, you can go with parallel for each because it will doesn't maintain the order. It will execute all the flows parallelly to save some time to improve the performance. But if you want to maintain the order, even now after the processing of all the collection, if you want to maintain the order, you should go with for each because it will execute each and every object sequentially one by one. Okay, we will see the difference by executing the parallel for each also. So, pair for each, I can say. Let's do the same thing. Let's copy it, maybe paste it. You can do that. Okay, so now the another logger also you can paste it. Between these two loggers we need to add this parallel for each. Right, see, parallel for each scope is there. Just drag and drop the parallel for each. And here also you need to maintain the collection. You need to mention the collection. Here in our case it is payload only because our payload itself has the collection of objects. So yeah, now let's add the logger. Same logger here also. So here instead of for each, parallel, you can say. Just to understand, just for our understanding. Okay. Okay, now let's save this. I think yeah, now let's save this. Okay, let's put this debug point. Let's run this in debug mode. Then if you can send the same payload again while executing it, all the 7 records, you will understand the difference. How it is going to execute all the 7 records. It will execute parallelly. It will doesn't maintain the order. Okay, you will see that. Let's wait this to be deployed. Yeah, so it is executed in sorry, it is deployed in debug mode. Let's test this. Pair for each. Let's send the request. Okay, let's see by executing one by one. Now this time the payload is the entire payload because it doesn't enter into the Foreach scope yet. So let's click next. So now it is entering. See, first it took red. Okay, fine. That is the red first one. First object it took. Right. Now this time there will be no counter or something. This time green. It is second one only. Okay. Then black. See, second time it took green. Third time it took black. But black is the last color. After green, it should pick blue. Usually, but it picked black color, which is the last object. So after second object, it picked the last objects. It will not maintain the order of the objects which we are going to send in the input payload. So let's click next and let's see what it will pick again. So next time it took yellow. So yellow color means just before the last object. So if you observe carefully the difference between the for each and parallel for each, it doesn't maintain the same sequence of the order. It will pick randomly. Okay, but it will execute all the 7 objects, but it will pick randomly. It will execute them parallelly. Why it is picking randomly, like without maintaining any order, means 2 threads. Maybe you will not understand the threads concept. Yeah, 2 parallel threads will execute. It will take one by one. Not in same order. It will pick, if any record is not processed, it will pick randomly. See, now it is processing Magneta. Sorry, Magenta. Okay, next one. Next Cyan. Next blue. So now all the all the objects are executed. Now it will come out of the parallel for it. So if you can see, even the console, here in the log message also, it will not print all the colors in the same order which we are going to send. See, red, green, then black, then yellow, then this one. But this is not the same order. Which this is for each logger, na? If you can compare, you will just understand in very clear manner. Okay, I'll just do this. Yeah, see, this is for each. This notepad. This is parallel for each. See, red, green, blue, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Here, red, green, black, yellow. This is the difference after parallel for each. Okay, so it will parallel for each will not maintain sequential order of input payload, but it will execute everything parallelly. It will save some time. It will process all the records in very less time. Okay, I could have show you this one as well. The response time also, but I missed it. Let's see, maybe. So it processed in 7.56 seconds. Okay. .67. Okay, maybe some catch issues there. Now let's test it again. .65 seconds, something, because it is maintaining cache by default, but also we are running it in debug mode now, so you will not see the exact response times, but parallel for each will execute little fast. Then for each, because two threads parallelly are executing all the records in parallel for each. But in for each, only one thread is going to execute. It will execute all the objects one by one. I'm just renaming the flow. That's it. Okay. Let's go to mules. Okay, so that is about parallel for each and for each differences. So yeah, let's see another scope, another important scope. Let's discuss little bit about until successful scope also. So there is a scope called until successful. It means this will do. Let's say in our real-time case projects, few downstream systems will be not that much stable, because it means like those systems may have this connectivity issues very frequently. So in such cases, instead of running our MuleSoft application down completely, we can use this until successful scope. So here it is there. What this will do, let me just rename this flow name. So what this will do means, if you have any downstream system, any third-party system, for example, this HTTP request, any REST API or any database call or any Salesforce connector or whatever it may be. So if you know that the third-party product I mean for which you are going to connect, do you know something like that system is not that much stable? It may have frequent connectivity issues. So in such cases, you can wrap that particular connector with until successful scope around, and what it will do, it will keep on trying for connectivity. Okay. See, max retrace is 5 milliseconds between retrace is this is default configurations. Once you see this, so max retrace 5 means it will try to connect to that particular system 5 times. If it still fails at the 6th time, it will throw an error. Otherwise, it will try keep on for five trials. And from time between each and retry is between 60 milliseconds, 6 milliseconds or something like that. Okay. So let's just add something. Let's try to call our API itself, our system API itself, which we have deployed. These two are undeployed, right? Yeah, maybe you can test this scenario as well. Anyways, this is undeployed. Nah? So it means like this API is not available. Okay. Let me just deploy one application which is available. This yes API, maybe we can just or else the process EAPI. Okay, let me just export it as a jar file. So it would be in downloads. Let's deploy this because this is successful application. Now let's see the difference. So if application is down, how this until successful will behave, otherwise how it will behave, like that. Okay. So usually you will use this until successful scope if you want to retry to that particular system at least maximum 5 times or 6 times before you throwing the error back. Sometimes like within 2 seconds the the third party system will back to online sometimes. So in that cases, if you didn't retry at least for some time, if you can directly send the response as error back, you will lose the message. So this is kind of one of the reliable pattern you can use. See, if you receive one message, if this connector is not connecting, then then we will if we throw the error object back as a response, the incoming message will lost. You will lost that input payload. Right, instead of that, before send that error response back, you can try at least five times. maybe within that 10 seconds or 12 seconds, if the system is up and running, if your system is back within that 10 seconds or 20 seconds, then there is no, I mean, there will be no issue. You can just process the message which you have received as an input payload. Otherwise it will send an error back as a response, right? So let me deploy this application eAPI in Cloud Hub. Okay, just give eAPI test and deploy application. This is available. It means someone already used that name. Okay, I'll just change this. Okay, let it deploy. Meanwhile, what we can do, let's drag and drop the listener, and we can use the same listener. Path is until, and just for our reference. Okay, so let's try to call this any dummy URL, or maybe this undeployed application as well. You can use, so maybe this one. We can use this URL. Okay, you can configure it in two ways actually. Once you can just one way is you can just add this connector with no host and port and all. Then you can directly give the URL here. No host to add. Okay. You can give this is the host and the port is 80. Okay, and URL. In that case, you don't need to give the URL. You can just give the path. Libraries. Sorry, slash API slash libraries, right? Okay. So before the manual deployment of that application is getting deployed, it is still taking some time. Let's try to debug this application, how it behaves, because as of now with the API which we are using is in undeployed state. So it means that application will not, I mean that API will not connect. I'm just putting loggers here and there. I can say before call. After call. Let me put breakpoint here. Let's try to run this. Obviously this request API, that REST API will not connect, so it should try for 5 times before sending the error back. We can test that at least. Okay, let's see. It is deployed. Let's see this by testing until, but it is get request only for now. It got triggered now. Okay, let's go to Mule debugger. Let's click next. See, it went to until successful. It is not connecting. So it got, and it is waited. The thread is getting wait. It throws an exception, right? So let's click next. It will wait that time which we have mentioned over there, maybe 6 milliseconds or 60 milliseconds. By default some configuration is there, no? Still we didn't receive any error response. After that 6 milliseconds or 60 seconds or 6 seconds, it will get enabled. It is there. Let me see. Milliseconds between retries. So in that case, at least it should enable now. See, in your error also, you can see, I mean, in your log console also, retrying execution of event, attempt 1 of 5. See, second time also it tried. Now it enabled. It is trying to connect for the second time because we have mentioned max retries is 5 here in until scope, right? So 5 times it will try. In our console also you can see it doesn't send the response, error response, but in the console if you can see, I mean in the logs if you can see, it is throwing like, it is showing like 1 of the 5 max retrying attempt. Now let's see, it is enabled. Let's click next. Again it will throw the error, right? It will not able to connect because we have given undeployed application URL. It is not working fine. Again it throws error na. Let's go to console. See, it throws error. Now if you can click next, what will happen? See, in the console, retrying execution of event attempt 2 of 5. Now it is trying for the second time. First time it is by default it will try. If you can just mention 5 as the retries, it will try 6 times totally, because 1 is obviously the default behavior, it will try. So whatever the number you have mentioned in the max retries, this is also one of the interview question for you. This might be. So let's say like if you configure until successful with max retries 2, how many times it will try the application to connect? Then what you need to do? You need to add 1. How many number of retries you give plus 1, that times it will try. For example, if you can given max retries 2, application will try to connect for 3 times, 2 plus 1. Now we have given 5. So it will try 5 plus 1, 6 times it will try. Okay. See, again it is trying, again it is enabled. I mean, this is highlighted. So that is why if you have any doubts how your Mule application is executing, you can just try to put some debug points and run it in debug mode. It will tell you how any connector will work in MuleSoft. It is very easy to learn in this way, right? So, okay, now it is enabled again. Na? Let's click next. Again, it will throw error. It is trying to connect to that particular API. Again, it will throw the error. But still, it is not sending any error response. Until unless the max retry is completely done, it won't send any error response. In this case, what will happen? Whatever the payload we have sent, that will be same. See, same payload is there. Even though we have used the get method, but some payload is the post payload, which the previous example is went. Now, this is also useful for us to understand. So that payload is still there. We will not lose the message. This is a kind of one of the reliability pattern. How you can make sure the input message is not lost until unless we need to send it to the other target system, something like that. So you can use this until successful scope for couple of components or couple of connectors where the reconnection strategies are not there. I'll tell you what is reconnection strategies also. So like this maximum max retries, few connectors have its own configuration called reconnection strategies. So instead of this until successful, you can configure that reconnection strategy number that can work, that will also work in the same manner. Okay, so let's try next. See, now it is retrying execution of event attempt 3 of 5. To save some time, at least we can just configure it for 3 times only, but I just left it as it is. That's why it will kill some time of our video, but let's wait, let's see after the 5th retry how this until successful connector will behave. This is very important for you to analyze it and to check this. See, after some time, again this request connector will enabled with the dotted line, black dotted line, means it is ready to debug again, ready to run the application again. Just taking much time. Yeah, know what, again it is enabled now. Let's try again. Again it will throw the error because this will never come online. If in the meanwhile, if that particular system is come online and if it is working fine, then it will not throw the error. It will continue the execution of the next components out of the successful scope. Like it will execute the logger. But in this case, this particular API which we are trying to call is always down. So in such cases, it is not, there is no meaning of trying again and again. So that is why we can try at least maximum 3 times or maximum 5 times. If the third party system is enabled or come to back to online in between these 3 or 4 or 5 retries, then it is well and good. It will execute the entire flow and it will complete the process. Otherwise, if keep on trying for even though if that system is completely down, if you keep on trying this kind of retries, that will not use. There is no meaning in that, right? So that's why we just just to control this maximum retries with 3 attempts or 5 attempts. Okay, let's see. Now see if it is trying for 4 of 5, attempt 4 of 5. The error also, you can see here, it is timeout exceeded. Yeah, again it is trying. 5th time. This could be the last time, I guess. Throws an error. Retrying execution of the event, attempt 5 of 5. Now, so it is trying for the last time now. Now also if we will get the error, it will send the error response back. If you didn't handle that error anyways. If you handle that error here something, it will throw that particular notification or a specific error response. Otherwise, Mule default error handler will take place. It will send you the error as it is. So let's wait at least a couple of minutes. This is the last time it will try. Let's see what will happen after 5 retries are exceeded. Still it is not sending any response. Okay, you can just check parallelly. You will understand how to use which scope and when to use which scope or what is the use of the scopes and all. And you can, yeah, it is trying, huh? Right. So let's click next. So attempt of 5 is also try. It is the last one. It is also done. It is sending response, error sending the one. Now if you click next, see it went out of the until successful scope. Now it will throw the error response. See, HTTP GET method. Now you will lose the message. At this time you will lose the input message. So that is why it is trying to send 5 times. It is trying to attempt the connectivity 5 times. If something happened if the application is up and running, then it will send the payload and it will process the message. But it's even though if it is not working, even for after 5 retries also, it is not up and running, it is not available. So then what it will do, it will send you the error like, see, until successful retries exhausted. This is the message. This is the error message you will get. And the error type you will get mule retry exhausted. So do you remember these points? Mule retries exhausted. This is the error you will get. But what is the actual error actual caused by is HTTP timeout, means this HTTP request URL is not working fine, it is down. So that is why. I think you understand the usage of this one, until successful, right? So this is the main thing I want to show you for until successful. If something is working fine, some API, I think I just wanted to change the URL and all, but it is still deploying. That's okay. The actual scenario we have discussed already. Okay. Already we have discussed the actual usage of until successful. If you give this API, I mean, if this URL is working fine, then it will again it will not try for the retrace and all. It will continue executing the log and it will send the positive response in the successful case. Right. So this is the story about these three major scopes: for each, parallel, for each, and until successful. I hope this video is really helpful for you. So please do practice and learn more about it, practice more about it, and try to understand the other components of MuleSoft as well. Okay. Thank you.